playoff run could end just as quickly as it started. They were always going to have a tough opponent in Hong Kong Attitude. Now is the time to shake it up.
Good news for GrandXur, at least thematically, is that we do live in the magical world of Contenders Pacific where underdogs have been winning, and right now they are the underdog in this match, attacking first. I'm going to just do a bit of scouting with Hams here for Hong Kong Attitude, playing it safe. It's going to be the Rhine Goats.
Yeah, no need to mix things up, no need to get too funky. GrandXur, they're going to make some changes here. They want to stick with the... they're making their way over to the Reinhardt themselves. So, just going for the mirror matchup here.
And this is likely, you know, what we expected before we even got into this match today. It's going to be Rhine Goats versus Rhine Goats. Both teams want to play quite safe here. And so far, going to dive right in.
And this is just a brawl in the opening courtyard here. I suppose you can call it a courtyard on the mood. Papillon's going to be the first casualty, even with the Ting getting low, nicely holding on to that one and just slowly drawing Papillon forward and forward and forward with the bait of the low health of Ting. You do see the difference in ult charge reflected there between the Reinhardts, but ultimately it's Hong Kong Attitude who take the fight.
And this is where, as well, Hong Kong Attitude can define a lot of where the fight takes place. As a defensive team, they can just run at GrandXur, hold them in the choke position as well. Hong Kong Attitude can play much more open in that space behind them. They have access to that open space. GrandXur do not. They have to push through that defense to get there. We also do now see VK on that flank as well. Papillon should again be the target.
I do like that setup there. It's going to be the grab straight in. Self-destruct laid on top as well. Oh, sick displacement from CQB to ensure that that self-destruct would connect. Absolutely gorgeous Lucio play.
This is going to be a bit of a denied kill as well. In fact, no, it's not going to be denied. Hugo's going to get picked up.
Still gets
GrandXur, they just lose a lot of members and they haven't charged very many ultimates. Papillon finally has an Earth Shatter, but Hamzy is super far behind in terms of Graviton Surge. Perfect right now is liable to actually overtake him and leap and wrap him around. Yeah. Sorry, that's the correct word.
Well, I mean, he could wrap him up. Yeah. Wrap around him, I suppose, but ultimately, there's the Earth Shatter out from a Ting. It's decent. He gets Hamzy and Silver Coin. They're able to finish off the former. The latter does live a little longer. Charlotte traded back, but that leaves Papillon out in the cold, a bit too far forward. Now they start to collapse on the rest. There's going to be Silver Coin going down at long last, released out of the mech. Should just be the pilot form to follow. And I mean, this ultimate difference has just been so significant. We've still not seen the sound barrier come up for Marlon. And Hong Kong Attitude have been holding on to these support ultimates for now 2 fights.
That's the thing, because Hong Kong Attitude can layer in these tank ultimates that cannot be countered by GrandXur. If we were maybe in a scenario where GrandXur had more ults, you would see the Gravs come through. You would see the Earth Shatters come through. And if they do go on top of GrandXur, they would be countered by barriers and then also the Transcendence. But that's just not being the case. Hamzy's still very far behind. Perfect's way ahead of him. Papillon needs to land a shatter here.
And I mean, Death's notwithstanding is part of why he's not been able to use it, and now he finally does. It gets blocked out by a Ting. Didn't even need to use a Transcendence there. They've committed the sound barrier just to stay in the fight.
Perfect's
make sure that they're going to have no trouble closing it out. And indeed, they have no trouble closing it out with Perfect's got that much charge in the pocket.
4 kills off a grab as well. 21% towards this next one. This is overall Shatter, which could be countered by Hugo's own Transcendence.
Hamzy is really going to need to make this one count. Between that and the self-destruct, that's really what they're going to work with, but that's massive! Forces a Transcendence from Hugo, but it's not enough to save Heimish, certainly not enough to save the tanks Papillon and Hamzy, and that's the second time now Hugo's Transcendence has been super well timed, but still hasn't saved anyone because of huge displacement plays from Hong Kong Attitude. 5 seconds to go, and still losing members here. Hamzy, Marlon, the high mobile Lucio will not be able to get their Silver Coin out of the mech, will also not be able to get their Papillon. Too busy swinging the hammer off to the side to be able to open up for a charge. That was a very commanding shutout. If I had questions about Hong Kong Attitude's defense, they have been answered.
At least for now on Assault, and right now is where it counts, because this is going to be the 3-0 that sends them to the semi-finals when and if they complete it. The winners within their sights right now. The best result on this particular map for GrandXur is going to be a draw, and they need a perfect defense to try and draw this one through. Now, this is basically all for naught. Even though Marlon gets there in time to trigger the overtime, it's just not winnable. It's just not in a position where GrandXur can do anything anymore. This gives me vibes of Control Center on Lijiang all over again, where for GrandXur, stuck in their base, could not leave spawn, could not leave the opening choke, could not see the point, don't even know what it looks like.
And I mean, That's not a full hold, a shutout with like a bunker comp with a bastion and all sorts of stuff, like what Cyclone Coupling did to Hong Kong Attitude in Week 5 when those two teams met. Hong Kong Attitude lost that Horizon Lunar Colony. That was a straight goats v goats. Ryan goats, flat mirror matchup. There's no two ways about it. Hong Kong Attitude absolutely outclassed GrandXur, and now only needing to get 1/3 on that point to punch their ticket to a semi. This is what a first seed ought to look like.
And I think this is the fear coming into this quarterfinal as well between these two teams is we did mention if GrandXur and Hong Kong Attitude were going to mirror each other in compositions, especially talking about goats here, did kind of feel like Hong Kong Attitude were going to be the ones coming up better off, and now we're potentially going to see the same thing again. A ting back onto the Ryan. Hong Kong Attitude going to do some early scouting with the Sombra, with the Hanzo as well, but once they see it's going to be the Ryan Goats, I'd like to think they're confident enough to take it head on.
And there it is. Perfect goes back, changes over to the Zarya. They just shut out GrandXur on the defense with this. Wouldn't be surprised if they're able to storm through on the offense. Might not be a one-fighter. If it is, that would be even more impressive.
Like we mentioned as well, GrandXur need a perfect defense, and they're going very aggressive right now, trying to get down anybody they can.
I love the displacement there from VK. It forced Papillon to actually turn and charge away. He did not want to risk getting isolated. But speaking of isolated, it's the highly mobile Marlon that goes down. Now Silvercoin. Hamsy's sure to fall as well. Heimish is down. This is how you punch your ticket to the semi-finals. Everybody else take note. A clean, cool, calm, collected 3-0 rather. And with that, Hong Kong Attitude are going to barnstorm their way to a semi.
And we did see some decent resistance from GrandXur in map number 2, but across 1 and 3, it's all been Hong Kong Attitude, and they want to rewrite the narrative right now. They saw the quarterfinals of yesterday. They saw the other favorite teams go down. Talon are out of here. GE Pantheon are out of here, and Hong Kong Attitude is saying, not today, not us. We are going to semis. We are going to finals. We can win this entire thing.
Crownless Kings. That's what we've been saying about them this season, with nobody else threatening ahead of them. We said a similar thing last season, and then they ended up getting just edged out by teams like Cyclops Athlete Gaming, teams like Talon who eventually took the whole tournament. Talon are already out. Hong Kong Attitude are here to win. Is anyone that is already through going to stop them? Because now in their semi-final, we've still got to determine who's going to be going on to face them. They've still got to win a quarter, and they've got to do so knowing that whatever they show will also have to be good enough to then beat the team that just 3-0'd their way into a semi, and no other team has done that.
And Hong Kong Attitude's looking on the other side of the river right now. They're looking on the other side of that border and saying, Cyclone Coupling, we're looking at you guys because you took a game off us. You took a match off us in Week 5. We've leveled up right now. You saw how close some of those other quarterfinals are. This was a 3-0 stomp, minus in Numbani map. Both the other ones completely one-sided. Hong Kong Attitude eyeing them down from across the other side. Meet us in the grand final. We're going to beat you this time.
It's going to be a very intense path if that is how things play out, but it's not a guaranteed thing, of course. That is just the quarterfinal. They're through to the semi. Haven't quite punched the ticket to the finals itself. We're going to find out who their opponent in the finals will be in our next matchup as well. And there is a little tidbit I do want to toss in here. I feel like I've just got to mention it, right? With Cyclone Coupling taking their win, Nova taking their win, now Hong Kong Attitude as well taking their win. As we move into our last quarterfinal, not just of the night, but of course of this third season as well. If Xavier take the win, there will not be a single Korean team in the top 4. That means there can be no Korean victor for the first time in the Pacific region since Ardiant won OPC Season 2.
And this is where this season, potentially history will be rewritten, potentially a new chapter will be opened up, but we still do have one more quarterfinal still yet to be played here on this week before we move on to anything else. So make sure you stay tuned. We are going to head into a bit of a break, but when we return, it's going to be Xavier Esports taking on Phoenix, so don't go anywhere.